I want to spend some time thinking about some words in the New Testament, and they appear in Paul's epistle to the Colossians, chapter 1, and I'm going to read from verse 15. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For by him all things were created in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities. All things were created through him and for him. And he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. The words I'd like to focus on are these in verse 16. All things were created through him and for him. The early part of the 20th century was an astonishing time for scientific discovery. It was then that Albert Einstein shot to fame with a series of ideas, each of which completely revolutionized some aspect of how we understand the world. His greatest achievement, without a doubt, is the theory of general relativity. It transformed how we understand the universe and how large things such as galaxies and planets affect each other, and how as well they affect light. In 1919, when the opportunity came to test Einstein's theory by measuring how much the gravity of the sun bent the light from a distant star, they found that Einstein's ideas were spot on. Now, at the same time that Einstein was discovering remarkable things about galaxies and planets and stars, another theory was being created to describe the behavior of particles, tiny particles smaller than a single atom. And this theory is called quantum mechanics. And it has revolutionized our world. It's so accurate in predicting how minute particles behave that it is now fundamental to the design of many of our electronic systems, telecommunications, and as well our computers. The thing is, though, that these two amazing scientific discoveries are completely incompatible with each other. Einstein's relativity doesn't work in the world of quantum mechanics, and quantum mechanics has no place in the universe of galaxies and planets. And so since then, a lot of highly intelligent people have been trying to come up with what is being called a unified theory of everything. A theory that will explain the minute as well as the massive. If you're a fan of the comedy TV show The Big Bang Theory, then you'd probably be familiar with some of this, because this is what the character Sheldon Cooper was trying to discover. And in over 100 years of trying, so far, no one has found it. Hopefully one day they will. But until then, we will keep trying. Why? Well, I guess for the same reason that NASA landed a rover on Mars just a couple of weeks ago, and the same reason that in 2008 we built a 27-kilometer long machine underneath Switzerland just to smash tiny particles smaller than atoms together at ridiculously high speeds. Because we need some way to make sense of the whole universe. We need something that makes it all fit together, that unites it all. Because once we have this, then we will be better able to make sense of our place in this universe. Now, in our reading, the Apostle Paul wrote about Christ that all things were created through him and for him. And in this one statement, he presents us with, if you like, a unified theory of everything. And it's called Jesus. When he speaks of all things, Paul is referring to everything that he knew existed in his universe. Now, clearly, his understanding of everything that exists, the universe, was vastly different from our own. We know so much more than someone in the first century could ever have dreamt of. We know of the vastness of the universe. We can even calculate how old it is. We know so much about the nature of space and time themselves. We know so much about matter. But let's not get carried away with this. There is also a great deal that we don't know. For example, we don't know what it is that makes up 85% of the mass of the universe. So there's a lot for us to discover. But even though what we do know is so much more advanced than what Paul knew, yet we can be fairly certain that if he were writing these words today, knowing all that we know, he would still say all things were created through him and for him. So what does Paul go on to say about this vast and unimaginably complex universe that we're a part of? Well, two things. Firstly, he tells us that it was all created through Christ. In a nutshell, this is saying that Christ is the power, the authority, the love, and importantly, the wisdom of God, by which everything that is was brought into existence. There's a strong tradition in the Bible of linking creation with the wisdom of God, and this verse draws on that tradition. Psalm 104, verse 24, for example, says, O Lord, how manifold are your works, in wisdom have you made them all. And then in Proverbs chapter 8, wisdom herself is speaking, and she says, when he established the heavens, I was there. When he drew a circle on the face of the deep, when he made firm the skies above, when he established the fountains of the deep, when he assigned to the sea its limit so that the waters might not transgress his command, when he marked out the foundations of the earth, then I was beside him, like a master workman, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing before him always, rejoicing in his inhabited world and delighting in the children of man. With every new scientific discovery and insight, our view of God is certainly challenged. Not in the sense that our view of God is undermined. The Bible was never intended to be a handbook for advanced physics. But it is challenged in the sense that it takes us even deeper into the wisdom by which all things were made. It takes us deeper into Christ himself, Christ who is the wisdom of God. And the second thing that Paul tells us about the universe in these words is that it was created for Christ. This means that Jesus is not only the beginning of the universe, he is its purpose as well. It finds its fulfillment in him. He is the answer the Bible proposes for the big why question. Why does it all exist? What's the point of it all? Ultimately, its purpose is the wisdom of God. The wisdom of God that is discovered when we encounter Jesus. The universe was created in wisdom, and its destination is also wisdom, God's wisdom, which is Jesus Christ. Do you ever wonder what the point of it all is? And is there any way to make sense of everything? For some of us, these questions are no more than casual thoughts, matters of curiosity. For others, they come with a sense of disquiet and discomfort. And for others still, they are much more serious, a reason for that profound anxiety that comes with an absence of meaning. But whatever our reason for asking these questions, and however these questions affect us, the answer is to be found in Jesus, the wisdom of God. The universe, in its vastness, points us to the wisdom of God. Life in its complexity, its chaos, its constant dance of good and bad, pleasure and pain, its lack and its plenty, its joy and its tragedy. Life points us to Jesus, who knew and experienced all of these, and in whom we can make sense of them all. Life, the universe, and everything points us to Jesus. If and when the day comes that they discover one scientific theory that describes the behavior of big things as well as the little things of the universe, it will be a wonderful day. It will represent a monumental moment in the history of humanity. It will answer that important question about the universe. How? How did it all come about? How does it all work? But in Jesus, we already have the one who is the answer to the question, why? Why did it all come about? Why does it all exist? From there, it goes on to reveal the kind of person we need to be in the light of God's plan for the universe. We need to follow Jesus, because in Jesus the whole of creation finds its unity, its origin, its destination, its reason and its purpose. And if the whole of creation finds its purpose, its unity in Jesus, then so also do we. The scientific breakthrough, the discovery of the unified theory of everything, will give us profound knowledge. But Jesus makes us profoundly wise.